Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Friday, but there's no game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Yeah, about
Are you guys
that.
not going to watch football? I mean, there's
Oh,
still
of
a
course
lot of
we're gonna
football.
watch. Yeah, we're going to watch like crazy.
There's some good games. I mean,
There is.
A Sunday without a Browns game to me, though, is about a 4.
Yeah.
A Sunday with a Browns game is a 10.
yeah, I hear you. But part of me is like, at least you can take a breath a little bit. You know, it's a little more relaxing.
I don't breathe.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
I like having a Sunday off. We're
Right?
playing baseball. We're going to play baseball Sunday. AJ's got a baseball clinic.
Nice.
Oh, I thought you were going to play.
come on.
You made it seem like
Be
you were
serious.
playing. I'm like,
No.
If he's going to play, you better start coming out to my league. Everybody ready for the weekend?
Yeah, man.
absolutely. By the way, the
Busy weekend.
Sunday night game is the Cowboys against the Niners.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
That's a really good game.
They've met in the playoffs the last 2 years, both times. It was like Groundhog Day. Both times, Dallas had it deep in San Francisco territory late in the game with a chance to win it, and both times they failed. So we'll see what happens this time around.
Yeah.
Dallas is a good team. I think this is a real nice yardstick game for them. See where they really
certainly
stand.
is.
And it takes you back to the old days. You know, the old Joe Montana, Dwight Clark.
Yep.
They had some great games back in the day, even into the 90s.
Do we buy into the Niners are such a good team, they're not going to lose 2 in a row, so let's have them beat the Cowboys, so they're more likely to slip up against the Browns?
Yes.
Do you buy into that?
Yes.
I don't know that one has to do with the other.
It probably doesn't, but some people buy into that theory.
I buy into let them beat the hell out of each other.
There you go.
It's
That's
a
what I was
little
going
bit
with.
of a short
yes,
week.
Dallas is very physical, too.
They're very physical.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a short week.
So they come in dinged up. We come in with 14 days rest.
right.
Hey man, I'm
See what
all
happens.
I'm all for ankles and hamstrings, bro. You can't get that mad at you, bro. You mad because I said
I ain't touching that.
Be
ankles and
careful, G.
hamstrings.
I ain't touching that.
I said I want the Steelers to get the tar beat out of them, and I became
all I
persona non grata for
all I did is mention a part of the body.
Can we mention G's wardrobe for a second? Why is he dressed like he's going to a Playboy party? Very simple. We're on WKYC 3 today at 12:30.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. If you want to see that 30-minute exclusive content, you've got to get it on Channel 3. So if you don't know how to do that, it's very simple. If you're in the Cleveland area, you just turn your TV on to Channel 3. You all know where it is. If you're outside the Cleveland area, we know we have a lot of viewers. David in Australia.
Yep.
India.
England.
You can still watch us.
Somebody sent a tweet to at least me, I think it was to all you guys, from somebody in Scotland, I think, yesterday.
I believe it. But if you're outside the Cleveland area, it's very simple. You can either go to WKYC.com, click the Watch tab, or my recommendation is it's super easy. You just put the WKYC Plus app on any smart TV, phone, device, whatever. I don't know if they're available for phone, actually. I know
It's just the WKYC app on the phone.
Right,
It's WKYC Plus anywhere else.
Right, there you go. And then you can watch it on your big screen. And you can also watch the UCSS YouTube version 5 days a week on the WKYC Plus app. So,
by the way, speaking of McNuggets, I'm embarrassed to admit, but I'll admit it anyway. I went through the McDonald's drive-thru yesterday and had 10 McNuggets. And here's the worst.
In honor of beating him in arm wrestling.
In honor of kicking his ass in an arm wrestle. And I got to say, by the way, they were terrible. And yet I ate them all.
Well, you know they're nothing but beaks and claws.
Well,
right?
that's fine.
It's everything.
Is that actually true?
Listen,
or is that something that people just say?
No.
I don't know that. I don't think that's true.
I don't know about McDonald's.
Yeah.
But I know many nuggets. What it is it's the parts they can't use elsewhere.
All right.
It's like the hot dog. It's snouts and hooves.
I hear you.
Hey, don't let that ear and nose go to waste. Grind it up, put it in the sleeve, and we'll call it a hot dog.
But I, like most people, because McDonald's sells a lot of McNuggets.
They do.
I usually like them. But they were, first of all, I waited forever.
Yeah.
This was the longest wait for a drive-thru
can't get
McDonald's
good help
ever.
anymore.
Yes.
It wasn't like there was a line. I literally drove up to the machine to make my order.
And it's not like you asked for a milkshake at 9:55.
No, it was 10 McNuggets and a fry.
They should
That's
have
it.
those ready to go at any time of day.
Well, I want to
only two
apologize
people
for
networking.
my people to you.
Yes, you
my
should.
McNuggets family to you. I am sincerely
You're better
sorry
than that, McNuggets.
for that inconvenience.
Got to get on top
The
of
worst McNuggets I've ever had.
Well, speaking of McNuggets, he has been working now for about 4 weeks on what he's calling the most intensive, complete deep dive in the history of offensive line play since Noah. I think that's what you're calling it, right?
At least on this particular Browns offensive line in 2024, I think it's impossible to find more research
2023,
on this
Mike.
than 2023.
Yeah. If you
I
did
spent
research on the 2024 offensive line, I want to see it.
I've spent 2,024 hours trying to find the research for the 2023 offensive line.
He's really
group.
proud of this, and I think he's put together something that's pretty special. I know McNuggets loves to do research. It's, in his words, you're going to be stunned just how bad some of it is.
Yeah.
So that's a little tease for that. Jonathan Taylor, do you trade for him? Do you maybe try to fix another position like left tackle or somewhere else? We're going to talk about that. Shawn Porter of boxing fame wants to talk Browns. We want to hear him do it. And also keep cut trade. And then we'll get ready for the Channel 3 show at 12:30. And with that, it's back to Mikey McNuggets. Hello again.
What's up, guys? No bye week. I mean, no game this week. It is the bye, which means there's not a 2-minute post-game show. However, we are back next week and the following week and the following week and the following and the following. Hopefully, all the way to the Super Bowl.
The next 13.
Hopefully, no, more than 13. Hopefully, all the way to the Super Bowl.
If they go to the Super Bowl, Tegna better send us to the Super Bowl. Let's go. Let's go, Tegna. Come on.
I hope so, but we will be there no matter what.
Where is it this
at
year?
every game? That's a great question.
Vegas.
Oh, Vegas. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can you see McNuggets at the craps table?
I'm a blackjack guy.
I am too. I'll meet you there.
I'm going to Canada to do some blackjack this weekend.
Nice.
Why Canada?
You can drive right up here to.
I'm about to go to some winners here.
Oh, that's
We
right.
can
You're
gamble
going to
here
Pittsburgh,
now.
yeah.
Oh, actually, I'm going to Niagara Falls on the what's the name side.
Oh, you're going the other way then.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going on the Canada
Oh,
side.
okay. I thought you were going. So you're actually driving to Niagara Falls.
You better
Yeah,
take
yeah.
out a loan to go to Outback Steakhouse there because the food prices are outrageous.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
really?
heard
Why
everything.
would he go to Outback Steakhouse?
I'm just saying.
No, just anywhere.
Their food prices,
Whatever.
they're
It's
crazy?
nuts.
Yeah.
Why?
For a standard run-of-the-mill restaurant for two people to eat, I'm told it's $100 US.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go to a premium restaurant, you can double that.
Yeah.
No,
And
hold
I don't
on.
know how it happened so quickly.
Is they getting real inflation?
real inflation.
Like the real, oh yeah, water is $10 inflation.
It's been like that forever at Niagara Falls.
Dang,
the prices
bro.
are just insane.
Oh, you mean just at Niagara Falls?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a tourist trap,
Yeah, sure.
obviously. But all right, we're going to dive into this notion that there is something brewing on the Browns about Deshaun Watson deciding at the last minute, really, that he wasn't going to play on Sunday. And Jason, I'm just going to hand the floor over to you. I don't want to mischaracterize any of your information. I want to hear it right from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, it kind of took off this week. It probably got blown a little bit out of proportion. But everything I said was true. Like, guys were aggravated in the locker room after the game. I think I said it on the piece I sent in Monday.
He did.
So, I'm just stating a fact. Like, guys were frustrated. And the reason they were frustrated...
Restate it for those that didn't see the original.
Basically, Deshaun told everyone he was going to play all week. He told all of his teammates, all the coaches, I'm playing on Sunday.
And the media.
I'm going to, and the media. I'm going to play on Sunday. And then Sunday came, 10:30 in the morning. Nope, I'm out. Can't play. And I think a lot of this could have been avoided had he just said all week long, this really hurts. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to do everything I can to play, and we'll see on Sunday where it's at. But as I pointed out when I wrote this, this was an arranged marriage between Deshaun and Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. These guys didn't know each other until they met at the altar at Rusty Harden's office in March of 2022. That's the first time that they really ever came together. So they're still learning each other and still figuring everyone out. And Deshaun's toughness stories are legendary, that he played with a collapsed lung. He's played with a broken rib. Obviously, if this guy can go, he's going to go. So when Deshaun tells you all week, I'm going to go, everyone just takes him at his word that, yeah, okay, he can't really throw it right now, but he says he's going to play. He knows his body. He's going to play. And that's where I think some of the breakdown in communication came. Now, the part that I think is getting a little bit probably stretched and overblown is there's this big rift now between them. I don't necessarily believe that's the case. I think guys were just frustrated in the moment. They got their asses beat in a game that they thought they were going to have their quarterback. They didn't. DTR comes in, clearly overwhelmed, clearly overmatched right from the
and
jump.
not prepared.
And the game was too fast for him. It was obvious from probably the fourth throw of the game, this guy's in over his head. And I think it was just more frustration than anything. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you guys that everyone has turned on Deshaun. That's not the case. The only thing I said was there was frustration and guys were aggravated, which is 100% true. That's all. And I was also a little bit aggravated that so when Kevin comes out and says, I think it was Tony Grossi asked him, was he medically cleared to play? And Kevin said, yeah, he's just being honest.
How do you explain that? Because Kevin is
It's
so
so
measured.
odd that he said it.
He was just being honest.
Right, but he's
I know,
never
but
honest.
But he's so measured with all of his comments, Jay, and he knows what questions
should have
are gonna be
realized
asked.
that.
He had to have
And-
thought about
and-
how I'm going to answer this.
And okay, maybe he should have said it was a collective decision, whatever. But the fact is, he answered it honestly, and now all of a sudden it becomes, well, why is Kevin telling the truth? And why is he hanging his quarterback out to dry? And I guess I just wanted
Did
to
you
come
see
back.
it that way?
No, I saw it as he just was being honest in the moment. Like,
Do you feel that it put Deshaun Watson in a negative light?
maybe, possibly, but I guess that's why I said what I said, to show that, like, hey guys, like, this is real. Like, Kevin wasn't lying; he was telling the truth.
I know, but
these
to
guys
Bull's
were
point,
frustrated.
But
he's such a smart and measured guy.
Yes, he is.
He
That's
will
why it
say
was
nothing
shocking.
before he tells the truth.
And whether it, like, the more you thought about it, you're like, okay, he's not going to throw him under the bus. That doesn't make any sense. But if Deshaun takes it as him throwing him under the bus, that could lead to friction between Stefanski and Deshaun.
Absolutely, it could.
Even
down
though we
the road.
want these guys to be honest,
Right.
But then we get mad when they are.
Yeah, I know, and that's
It's
the
not
part
fair.
that I kind of roll my eyes
Right.
at.
Well,
right.
I don't necessarily want to say you get mad when they are. I mean, that is what it is. My thing is, your track record is you say nothing.
Right.
And
Yes.
this time around, you said something that could be construed as being negative towards your starting quarterback.
That's true.
Why would you
Yeah.
put any friction in the single most relationship for any NFL team, head coach and quarterback? That's what
that's fair.
I still don't understand
Yeah,
it.
and I think he just. I mean, we say, like, he chooses every word meticulously, and he
Right,
never
yeah.
says
That's
anything.
why I can't buy that he slipped.
I think he did.
It's one of the most important questions he's answered during his time here.
And I think he just blew it. I just think but I don't think he blew it. Like, if you want to look at it as protect the quarterback, then he blew it. I just look at it as he's being honest in the moment.
All right.
Do you
Okay.
think, how do you think Deshaun Watson took it? Given the fact of I'm not going to say he had rabbit ears or he's sensitive.
Oh, you can say
No,
it.
I will.
Listen, but he's been vocal about protecting himself and correcting the statements when he
Yes.
feels people say something that he don't feel is correct. Do you think he took offense to it, or after the fact, did they have a conversation?
You know what? I don't know Deshaun well enough, and I don't want to just make a guess. I have no idea how he took it. I'm sure there's a conversation. I'm sure there was, and especially after, what I said kind of went nuts. I'm sure that there's been conversations going
Did
on.
Andrew Berry clean it up properly?
I think he tried at his bio.
No, I know that was
presser.
his objective, but I'm
Yeah.
wondering from your vantage point, do you feel that his answer would suffice, and that if there was any thought that there could be friction, that he put all of that
See,
to bed?
I look at it the other way, because I think Kevin was telling the truth, and I know what players told me, so I don't really care what AB's trying to say to clean it up, because that's all it is he's just trying to sweep up a mess. But I know what the reality is. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
I do. I understand what you're saying.
So I don't really care what he says.
I just don't necessarily agree with the first part of that premise, that Kevin was just telling the truth, and now we're going to kill him for telling the truth. His MO is he doesn't say anything.
No, you're right.
And so
Right.
I think the reason all of us kind of went, wow, wait a minute, what did he say? Is because of his track record. If this was a guy who's been completely
Right.
transparent and is known for saying stuff like that,
Yeah.
I think it rolls off everyone's back.
Right.
And so that's Kevin being Kevin. But this was not Kevin being Kevin.
I think, yeah.
That's the only reason
Right,
I
I
think.
agree. And I think the important questions now for the team are, A, is there any friction between Stefanski and Watson? You just said you don't know, and if anybody would know here, it'd be you, and you don't. So we'll see.
I think
it's probably fine.
I think it's too early to tell. Deshaun's not even in town right
Right.
now.
Is
It's
it
too
fair?
early to
And
tell.
is that's not unusual.
Yeah.
No,
For a
it's
player
not
who's
unusual.
yeah.
But
is it fair for the players to have some animus towards Deshaun for not playing? Is that fair?
Yeah, because he told him all week he was going to play.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying, like, I think that the whole entire week probably looks a little bit differently from preparation, game plan, whatever. If Deshaun's saying the whole time, I don't know if I could play or not. Like, let's get to Sunday and see. You guys know I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to do everything I can to play, and we'll see when Sunday gets here. But that's not how he handled it.
Right.
He said, I'm going, like, absolutely definitively, I am going to play. And that's where I think the frustration came from. Right. But I'm sure that, like, I mean, we're already. I hate that we're talking about this on Friday, but I understand.
Well,
I haven't been in all week.
If it wasn't a bye week, we wouldn't.
Jason,
be.
let me put it
poorly
this way.
timed for that reason.
There's two different types, in my mind, of being angry at someone, right? There are times on this show where we argue, it gets feisty, and you're mad in the moment,
right?
But then it goes away because
Right.
it's an in the moment thing. And then there's the mad where it's like, we got to have a conversation a week later because we're pissed at
You
each
come
other.
in the next day and you're still
Right,
carrying
right.
that.
Right.
Right. Which one is it?
Which one is that?
That's a good point, Bull.
I would tend to believe it's more the first
In the moment.
than the second.
Which is-
it's in the moment. These guys just came off the field. I'm talking to them 20 minutes after they come off the field, 25 minutes, and they got their asses beat and they're pissed.
Yeah.
And I think there's a part of it that's, if you don't have Deshaun Watson, you don't have a chance to win. So those guys go out there, they think they're going to be competing against the Ravens, came off a nice win the week before. You're pumped, you're excited, like, let's go get it done. And then all of a sudden they tell you, oh, we got a rookie quarterback. To those guys, that's an L. Like, they just kind of knew we up against it.
And remember, in week one with the Browns or whatever Jamar Chase said.
Yeah.
Originally, it was the Steelers saying the Browns are the Browns.
Cleveland is Cleveland.
Cleveland is Cleveland, right? After you beat up the Bengals and then, you feel like, okay, maybe this year is going to be different. If you're a veteran player on the Browns, you've been getting humiliated for the most part by the Ravens and Steelers a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right? And so, especially the Ravens. And so you go into this game, you're like, all right, if we got Deshaun Watson, we're at home. We got a good chance to win this game. And so your frustration, if I were a veteran on that team that had been here, if I were Myles Garrett, if I were Joel Bitonio, Nick Chubb, if I were healthy, and if Deshaun Watson, my teammate, my friend, hopefully, is telling me all week he's going to play, I'm like, okay, here we go. And then all of a sudden, Sunday morning, we find out DTR's playing. It's like letting the air out of the balloon.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm Myles Garrett, I'm Joe Bitonio, I'm Wyatt Teller, I'm Nick Chubb, whatever, any of the veterans, I'm like, we got no chance. They're not living in la-la land. You can say to the media we got a chance. They know they got no chance.
Yes, that's fair.
And so in the moment, they're pissed. And then they actually got
destroyed.
their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. I tend to think it's probably already
Right.
over. But as to your point, it's a bye week, so we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
But internally, I doubt that it's probably still lingering. I'm telling you the truth. Like, guys are pissed.
And I think that's the most important thing is that their frustration was real. And to your point, I feel too warranted to some degree. The big question is, what's the carryover effect going to be? We talked about the timing of the bye yesterday. When the schedule came out, we didn't love that it was early.
Correct.
I still don't. When you look at it from a timing standpoint, who knows? Watson may have been ready to go Sunday anyhow. It did give him a little extra time to get ready for what most will agree is the toughest game on their schedule this year. But the reason I think all of this timing stinks is because they've got 2 weeks to sit on that and let that fester, and they can't wash that ugly taste out of their mouth. And even when they do get that opportunity, they're going into a home game in which they're an underdog. And if it festers itself into another loss, the thinking is this problem compounds itself. It doesn't go away. Do you agree with all of that?
Sure, it could. But I look at it as, and I agree with, like, week 5 is a terrible time for a bye because it just makes the rest of the season so long.
Yep.
But with where this team is at right now, your quarterback's injured, your center. Last time we saw Ethan Posick, he was walking out of the locker room with crutches.
Right.
So, it's kind of an important spot. So I think this, and there's other guys that are banged up.
Newsom missed the last game.
Yeah. Miles went and got an X-ray.
That's true.
After the game.
Yeah.
So for that reason, and because of who the opponent is and gives you 2 weeks to prepare for what could be the best team in the NFC, I actually think it's a great time for a bye.
I couldn't agree more. I think they got a problem more than just the people being injured. I think they need to really go back and reevaluate what they're doing offensively. they need to really go back to the drawing board and figure out what is our identity and how are we going to get, like, watching the Cleveland Browns now, it's hard for them getting 5 yards. It's very difficult. Like, you know, how do we take and alleviate some pressure? Because, look, I'm looking at what they got. You know, I was talking to Quincy Carrier the other day. We was on a podcast, and he said, and I agree with him. He said, you know, you don't really have much to go out and get another tackle. And to me, would I move hell and earth to do it? Sure, I would, but that's just me. But I don't think they're going to do it. And if you're not going to make a change significantly and going to get an upgrade for Jed Wills, you're going to have to really, really change the way you think about concepts and getting the ball out quicker and easier reads. Because right now, you can't run the offense that they want to run, and you have the offensive line playing the way they have. Also, you know, you look at some of the concepts that they're running, it's just very basic. It's like when I go back and watch the Baltimore Ravens, and it's going to be even worse against the 49ers, the Baltimore Ravens are not scared of anything. They're playing man-to-man coverage, daring you to beat them over the top, and they are not confused by any route you're running. This is because it's basic. It's just I have not seen the playbook in which we talked about things were going to be massively different. It just hasn't.
And I don't know how you do that in 2 weeks. I mean, you've had now a couple of off seasons to go into the lab and come back with something that does really knock our socks off.
Again, I would argue, though, that the last time Deshaun Watson played, the offense was very good.
Yes.
They were.
So I think
the best they've been.
I think we need to throw out the last game because they had a guy not qualified to start an NFL game at quarterback.
If he comes back as Deshaun Watson that we saw against Tennessee, I think they've got a real shot against San Francisco.
Of course.
And the worst thing that can happen to me, I know there are no consolation prizes in losses in the NFL, but there is absolutely a difference in carryover if you lose 27-24 in a hard-fought game or if you get boat raced again.
Yes.
Of course.
There is a difference.
Yes,
and if my fear is you get boat raced, this thing could get sideways real quick.
This is a barometer. This is, like, to me, I'm looking at it to see if what you're running can be effective against top teams. To me, I'll find out all I need to know about the Cleveland Browns right here playing in this game. If you lose a close game and the defense is hungry, flying around, some of the concepts that you're running look simplified, but you're still moving the ball up and down the field, no holding penalties, maybe you stay solid up front a little more.
Win the turnover battle.
If you lose 28-20, I ain't going to kill you. This is one of the best teams in the league. But if you come in here and get smoked and you can't move the football, I'm going to question what is it that you can really do against top-notch teams.
You know, I know that old saying, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts and all that, but I do think it's fair to point out they are one strip sack defensive touchdown away from being 3-1,
right.
and their only loss is with DTR.
You're
and I
absolutely
think we're having
right.
a completely different conversation.
And that is the silver lining, and hopefully that's what Stefanski and everybody is talking about in that locker room. Because as gloom and doom as it feels after what we saw on Sunday, it's not that far away. It's close.
No. And we'll get to something a little bit later in the show, and some of the odds I couldn't believe.
I'm with you. I think we're going to go in the same direction.
Yeah, I was shocked when I
I'm
saw
with
it.
you.
Yeah.
And we won't give it away, but stick around.
Is that the TV show or is that YouTube? I don't remember.
Yeah, no,
that is coming up on the TV show, as is an interview with Dr. Jesse Morse, who is a sports physician specialist who gives us an update on Deshaun Watson's right shoulder and Nick Chubb's knee.
And that interview's already been done. It was pre-taped. Let's tease the audience for the Channel 3 show. Did we learn anything?
Yes.
At the end of it, because it's really hard for a doctor to talk about a player when he hasn't examined that.
No, but he was good. And G and I spoke to him
So we're going to be
earlier.
smarter for it.
Yeah.
Because I know typically we work a lot with doctors upstairs at the clinic, and I have many doctors that I call on a regular basis on certain injuries, and they all say the same thing. Look, I haven't seen the screens.
Right.
I haven't seen the MRI.
Yep.
I have no way of knowing. There's levels to all of it.
Yep.
Is it a 10? Is it a 1? I don't know.
He talked about, he gave us the answers based on the knowledge that we have. That's public information.
Right. Okay, good.
And we also asked him about Nick Chubb, too. So
that's very good. I'm anxious to hear what he has to say. Very good. All right, you want to go into your offensive line deep dive after you read?
Yeah, let's do that real quick. But before we do that, I want to remind the good people out there that if you need any Browns gear for the upcoming season, make sure you check out fanatics.com/UCSS. It has all the best Browns gear on the market. Plus, you help UCSS out on the back end. And real quick, we did a poll result, and I'm going to read you guys the poll result here. from our first topic. Whenever we do that, it's brought to us by our dear friends at PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We just asked the YouTube chat, based on the discussion we just had, is it a big deal or no big deal that players expressed some frustration with Deshaun after the game against Baltimore? 69% said no big deal, 31% said big deal. So I think they're pretty in line with us that frustration right afterwards.
I got a beef with your poll.
Of course you do.
Okay.
You should have had 3 options. It should have been big deal, little deal, no deal.
Anthony, let's make a second poll.
Deal or no deal?
Wants to recount.
Yeah, I'm going to avoid making
Because
a
the
joke
answer
there.
is
I'm
it's a
gonna
little
avoid making
deal
a
right
joke.
now.
It is. There's something there.
It's a little deal. Certainly not a big deal, but you can't say it's nothing.
No, I think the vast majority would say that it is a very small issue.
If 69% said no deal,
Lunch.
then it's definitely not a big deal. That number will be even
Yeah.
smaller for big deal. when
Yeah,
get to
you
the
would
third
think
option.
that 69% still are going to say no deal. But if they had an option to say there's something there, but we don't think it's much.
Yeah.
I think upstairs in the newsroom we had a conversation yesterday about somebody asked, is the media overblowing this? And I said, well, it all depends on which media you're looking at, number one. If you're looking at state-run media like the Browns media, no, they're not overblowing this at all. Nothing to see here, never mind the smoke. However, to say that there's, why would this be, this is a nothing burger, that you can't say that either because you answered the question appropriately. Has there at least been a conversation between Watson and Stefanski? Sure there has.
Sure.
Absolutely there has. And because of that, here's the thing, and you said this earlier, and you said it earlier in the week. If Deshaun Watson perceives it as a slight,
That's all that
then
matters.
it is a slight. It's
Yes.
like saying, why should I apologize? Well, if someone feels aggrieved, maybe you don't apologize for what you said. Maybe you apologize, I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings. So I think they're grown men. They're going to get in a room. They're going to hash this out. And I don't think it's a major deal at all.
Definitely not.
But it's certainly something. And here's the other thing. It's a bye week. What the hell else are we going to talk about?
Yeah,
I think a lot of people don't understand that when you're filling 10 hours of content a week, you got to talk about something. And this was certainly being talked about.
Certainly worthy of being talked about.
Market-wide.
I feel like it could potentially be something if you do not have a ground basis relationship. If you got a relationship with somebody and somebody say something that you don't like Bull said, like you could always pull them aside, be like, yeah, my bad, I want to get your idea on this, and you could work it out. But if you got just a working relationship with somebody,
that's never good.
Yeah.
and they say something, you keeping that. Like
Yeah.
you tucking that. Like you like, hold on, we don't eat birthday cake together. We ain't even had no lunch, no drinks, no after hours. I don't go to your kids' birthdays. You don't come to mine. Why you talking about me?
Like Marshawn Lynch said about Russ Wilson. I didn't even have that man's phone number.
That's right.
Right.
Like at some point you have to have some kind of relationship.
Meanwhile, G and I were eating fried chicken and mashed potato bowls together this morning.
Ignore
I
Mike's-
hope not.
and Lauren
We were.
ignore-
You ate fried chicken already
That
today?
is true. I can't
Oh
confirm.
my God! I don't
Where
eat
did you
at
find
all in
fried
the
chicken
morning.
and mashed
So-
potato bowls?
How in the
At
world?
10:30 in the
So
morning.
I'll tell you what happened.
2 minutes, Bull. 2 minutes.
We got here very early because we were taping the interview with the doctor.
Right.
So G and I were here really early. And I was going to run out and just go get some breakfast. But G and I got into this long conversation. We won't discuss what we were talking about. But with this long conversation, eventually we got to the point where I couldn't run out to get something. So I said to G, take a walk upstairs with me so we can continue our conversation. I want to get a snack. Well, I saw in our kitchen upstairs, they had these frozen Stouffer's meals.
Okay.
And it's fried chicken with mashed potatoes, gravy, and corn. And I'm like, gee, you ever have one of these?
Nope.
He's like, no. I'm like, you're having one now. I'm buying it. We're gonna eat
FYI,
this.
we do call that machine the Wheel of Death.
That microwave? That's the worst microwave in the history of the planet.
I know it is. I don't even know.
It's the
That
worst.
I'm not sure it works.
I think it took us like a half an hour to heat everything up.
like, it's
You
just-
probably have cancer now
we
from
might have
Right.
cancer for that.
The Wheel of Death.
And we sat and ate. We ate pretty fast.
Fast
There was not a
food.
lot of time left.
But you broke bread. Here's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
The answer of is this the thing moving forward?
Yeah.
Win Sunday, Next Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
And this thing is dust in the wind
That's right.
faster than you can sneeze. It's gone.
Yes.
I mean, it is
100%.
gone.
Yeah.
So that you're winning hides all these warts.
That's right.
And
That's
hopefully that's where we are. Okay.
All right, let's get into our offensive line deep dive here, guys. And before we get into the numbers, I have a question for you. Each of you go around the horn. Jay, we'll start with you. We'll end with Bull.
Okay.
What do you think the Browns' offensive line has been worse at this season, run blocking or pass blocking?
I would think it's pretty close. They've been equally bad, but I think their run block has been particularly bad.
G?
As
Think of all the long runs they had. They were all cutback runs.
As I look down, I think they're really bad at in run blocking. I think they're horrible.
Jason?
I think I know the answer because Mike and I were texting a little bit this morning, so
Okay.
I'm going to say run blocking.
Oh, okay.
And Bull?
It's funny. I was going to say run blocking. I'm shocked because you two have been talking all week about how this team was made to be run blockers, and now you're saying they're worse against the run.
Well, I think they were. I mean, when you have Nick Chubb and you're building
Yeah.
a line, you are building a line on the run block
But
side.
I expected you guys to say passing.
Well,
was worse.
listen, the answer if I had a blindfold over my face would be, well, certainly they're better at run block. But I can't take the blind. I'm watching, and what I'm seeing is what they're supposed to be good at.
Yeah.
They haven't been.
I'll say so, but that's what I thought. Run. So we're a clean sweep here, Mike.
So we're going to present the numbers.
Okay.
And we're going to revisit that exact same question afterwards.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to do it like this. And we'll start. The three systems I use for certain graphics, and it's going to be the first one we see, comes from ESPN, PFF, and SIS, which is a sports information system, does all the analytics. Ben Baldwin puts it all together.
Right.
And we're going to start with the Browns' run blocking composite score. So this takes from three different sources. The top score is 100. That's the best. According to PFF, the Browns' offensive line, regardless of which five guys it is, that unit has graded as a 21 overall through 4 weeks, according to PFF and run blocking. ESPN has at a 40. SIS has a 56. That is 25th overall in the league. Now, before we move to the next slide,
what is 25th overall?
their total composite score, which is a 39.
Okay,
so their
that's
total
what we're not
composite
seeing
of a
then.
39 is
So-
25th in the
So they
league.
rank 25th out of 32.
Yeah.
Out of
so
32,
the number
correct.
that we're not seeing there is the the
the composite.
average.
Are
Which
you
is 39.
averaging those? Like, did you average
Exact-
the 21,
yeah.
56?
That's what he's doing.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
that's the
Mike-
average. Yes,
All three of those scores are based on the 0 to 100 scale.
correct.
So that's kind of weird that, like,
You'll see some big variations
that's
depending on the
huge
system.
variation.
Yeah.
Yes, and that
Well,
is
again, we've talked
computer
about
data.
this not being a science. It's not a science. I mean, it's just not.
Yeah, and that
Now,
stuff
I think
is-
SIS weighs more on statistics, where PFF weighs more on eyeballs. Am I right?
Yeah, PFF's the SIS system is simply numbers.
Yes.
It is not a single human eyeball. It's like the BCS in college football.
Exactly.
Okay.
As opposed to
So
the other
that's
two, which
fraudulent.
takes
SIS.
Well, I
fraudulent.
mean, you can glean something from it, but what you're not it's just what we learned from Sam
Yeah.
earlier this week. If you just looked at the box scores, you lose all context.
That's right.
That's what the SIS number
Yes.
is. They're strictly crunching numbers.
And the SIS is the highest of the three numbers for the Browns.
And keep that
Right.
in mind for when we see pass blocking.
And
Okay.
offensive line play is the trickiest of all because most people don't watch offensive line. Most people don't even know offensive line.
Most people don't know how to watch offensive line.
Like
They don't know
what are
they're
they
looking
doing
at.
up there? Like
Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
did you give up a sack or no?
So that's the composite scores. Now here's the deep dive into the run blocking from the offensive line. And this I found fascinating. Yards before contact, an important stat leading to any good running back. You can take it here, full Steve. In 2020, the Browns' offensive line averaged giving their running backs 2.39 yards per carry before contact. That was 12th in the league. In 2021, same number, 3.39. It was 10th. In 2022, it was 2.48, which is 4th. This year, they're currently ranked 6th at 2.72. However, Ford's 69-yard run against Pittsburgh, he was untouched.
Right.
If you take that one run out of the equation, the number drops to 2.06, which ranks 27th out of 32. Now, I know it's 4 games.
That's why one run has such
means
a
a lot.
dramatic skew.
Exactly. So far this season, outside of one run, and I know it's not fair to take
Yeah, you
one
can take
run
that
out
out.
of the equation.
If you took the reason that's not fair, Mike, is because if you took one run off of every team, it might lower
Well,
everybody.
there are actually some analytics systems that do this. They take
throw out the top and the
best
bottom.
3 out, the worst 3 out,
Yeah.
and then look at everything else.
I'm curious.
So there's
what-
100, real quick. So at that
Yeah.
number for the 2.72, 103 carries. So if you
Okay.
take one, you're still looking at a sample size of 102 carries.
So 25
for
carries a game.
2.06 yards per
So they've actually been
carry
very
before
good.
contact. No, it's 27th in the league.
I'm sorry, the 2.06 without the run.
It's very bad.
Again, but again, that's not fair because if you took out that one run from every other team,
Yes,
where
take
would they
out
rank?
every team's home run.
Yeah.
Granted,
Home run
I was just giving you guys context.
Right, okay.
And you can see the difference. What one run does, it drops it by
Right.
0.6 yards.
Mike,
which
I'm
is-
curious.
Yes, sir.
Did you separate the yards per contact with Nick Chubb and the runs without Nick Chubb by any chance?
I did not,
That
but I
would
could
be
actually
hard to
pull that
do.
up.
I would be
do have
curious
a
about that,
spreadsheet with that. Let me
okay.
get to that at the very end,
All right,
and
yeah.
we'll revisit that only because I have to pull up a spreadsheet. All right, we'll go to the next one. Now we're going to talk pass block before we get to individuals. Now remember, SIS was the highest graded score when it came to run blocking.
Right.
Now in the composites for the pass blocking, SIS looks at this in a completely different light. Their overall composite score between ESPN, PFF, and SIS is a 71 in terms of protecting the passer. That ranks 11th in the NFL. PFF gives them an 82, ESPN gives them a 92, and SIS, which we mentioned before, is strictly numbers and analytics, gives them a 48 for an 11
Whoa, what do you mean
overall.
simply? I mean, PFF is using analytics as well.
But they have eyeballs as well. It's
Yeah,
like the
it's
BCS.
a mix.
SIS is just numbers. There's
Yeah.
nothing to do with the human
So-
evaluation.
What this tells me at this point is that there's actually a massive gap between the Browns' pass blocking and run blocking, which I didn't think was the case.
11th in the composite in pass blocking, 25th in the composite in run
Yeah.
They must. I mean, PFF and ESPN, they must be top 5 pass blocking. Just those two.
I can tell you real quick. Pull it up real quick. According to
Certainly ESPN.
ESPN,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and here's this chart right here. In the run blocking composite for ESPN, it just ranks them by composite. I apologize.
right.
But I can do
Well,
a
but
quick
you can
mental
see
math.
based on the numbers that they're on ESPN and PFF, the Browns are clearly in the top, at the very least, top
They're
7 or 8.
9th on ESPN and pass block. 9th on ESPN.
Okay.
Wow.
And what about
At
on PFF?
92?
Oh, no. That was PFF 9th. On ESPN, they are
Got to be top 5.
3rd.
Third.
Okay.
3rd.
All right,
Behind
so-
Kansas City. And
So the Browns are pass blocking a lot better than we think
Philadelphia.
they are.
according to ESPN.
Yeah.
And PFF.
And I think my other takeaway is, yes, they're pass blocking a lot better than we thought.
Yeah.
But the other thing was the gap between pass block and run block is a lot bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought both were mid to below, and they were going to be close, but the run block would be worse. It's opposite ends of the spectrum.
Here's what I'm wondering with the run blocking grades. Does the tailback have any impact on it whatsoever? Like, are you looking strictly at the blocking schemes or the result of the play?
I would think the running back does have.
It does. I would assume it does. SIS
Yeah.
definitely does.
And from my experience, when you're grading offensive and defensive linemen, they take no account of what happened with the play. Like,
Well-
if say, for instance, we watching film, we don't even watch the running back. The back's gone.
No, based on that, yes. But in terms of yards before contact, the running back factors in. Because if if you have a running back like Nick Chubb, who's going to be way more decisive than these inexperienced backs like Jerome Ford, well, he's going to get going quicker, which makes it harder for the team to make that contact earlier. You know
And
what
the
I'm saying?
back that just makes guys miss.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
put your foot in the dirt and you get to a corner before someone else because you have the speed to do that,
Yeah.
like Ashan or however he's pronouncing his name now,
Achan.
Achan, like, I imagine that he can do that as well too.
So the Jerome Ford 69-yard run against Pittsburgh, he was not touched. However,
But he did not follow out what that play was
the
supposed to
play
be.
was not necessarily blocked properly either. He had
No.
nowhere to go.
Right.
It was a run to the right,
right.
and he ended
So
up cutting
I
it
have
all
a
the way
hard
back.
time giving the line credit for
No,
that.
he gets
when
credit
that
for
was
that.
all the back.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've seen a lot of Nick Chubb's runs are the same thing.
Right.
The play was clearly designed to go to the right. He quickly recognized, that's not happening, and just immediately takes off the other way.
It
and
goes
he's
both
gone.
ways. There are times when the offensive line blocks properly and the back doesn't see the hole.
You're right. It does go back.
On the
And
other
that's more-
side,
and
it
that's
goes
more-
the same way.
And that's much more likely to happen with a Jerome Ford than a Nick Chubb.
In my mind,
that
yes,
part of it.
because Nick Chubb always seemed to
I
make
can't
the
imagine
right
Nick
decision.
Chubb's missing many well-blocked poles.
Yeah, he did.
You know?
So let's talk about the pass blocking thing real quick. So they overall graded out well. But when you look at the other side of the numbers,
I don't know. Did the run grade out well?
No, the run
Pass.
did not grade out well.
I thought you said
They were
overall they
25th.
graded out
Passing.
well.
Overall graded out well as pass.
On the pass
yeah.
block,
Okay.
yes. Some of the numbers are weird. Now, Browns quarterbacks this season, these are all quarterbacks with at least 30 pass attempts, which eliminates guys who have just played garbage time, essentially one start.
Right.
DTR had 3.23 seconds before he released the ball in the game against Baltimore. Now, this is out of quarterbacks with at least 30 pass attempts this season. It's the second highest time to
that's
throw
bad.
in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, one below, third, 3.14. You combine those together, the average of a Browns quarterback to throw this season is 3.19 seconds. Now,
That's
you could look
bad.
at that two different ways.
Yeah.
Are they holding onto the ball too long?
Yes.
Is the offensive line actually giving them more time to throw than we give them credit for? Is that elusiveness from the quarterback? Are they not being confident in their first reads? Is Kevin Stefanski calling plays that are taking too long to develop? It's probably a combination of all the above.
Or the wide receivers just aren't getting separation.
That also could be a factor.
I think the DTR you got to just completely take out of it because it's the reasons for that is very different. He was in over his head. He didn't really know what the hell he was doing.
But that time to throw shows you he had time.
Yeah, he was getting
He had
time.
right, and that a lot of the Browns sacks are on the quarterback for holding the ball.
We've suggested that all year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to what I said last year when they moved from Jacoby to Deshaun. A lot of the linemen were used to the ball coming out faster.
Yeah.
And when
Right.
Deshaun, and this isn't a knock on Deshaun, this is part of what makes him great.
You're right.
Is the fact he can hold it, let things develop, let
Right.
things play out.
And
make
buy
something out
extra
of
time
nothing.
with his
And
feet.
buy- yes.
Where
But when you
Brissett
don't
doesn't
have
have
a-
but when you're a lineman, it doesn't feel that way. You're
Right.
going 1001, 1002, 1003. Where's the ball? Why isn't the ball out?
Right, yeah.
So it's harder for the lineman to adjust to that
Yeah.
type of style, but it's just how he is. Like that's part of what makes him great.
Yeah.
That's, when I've mentioned a number of times, well, the Bengals went to the Super Bowl with a bad offensive line. So maybe the Browns could do the same thing. The thing is, Joe Burrow, I don't know about this year because this year's been a mess, but until this year, he's always been top 2 or 3 in terms of least amount of time holding the ball.
Right.
And when you have a leaky offensive line, you've got to get rid of the ball quickly.
Yeah.
Now, he's got better wide receivers that are getting open more often than the Browns guys are, but still, they've got to get rid of the ball quicker. I think that's part of it, especially because even though clearly the offensive line in pass block is doing better than we think, but Jed Wills, I'm guessing, isn't. He's clearly the weak link.
Now, one of the reasons I look at how many times people are in motion. When you look at the Cleveland Browns, and you look at the top teams with guys in motion, pre-snap and post-snap, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, you look at the Miami Dolphins, you look at the Chargers, they're all in the top 10. Those guys use motion before the snap, after the snap to get their guys in good looks. When you watch the Browns, they come out and they're probably middle of the pack to lower in the league and motioning guys, moving them around. If you look at it, they come out with, 13 personnel. They come out with 11 personnel, and guys are just, on the line of scrimmage. And when you watch the games, and I go back and watch the Bengals, I go back and watch the Ravens games, even Tennessee to a certain extent. Tennessee played some zone, and they found some things they can exploit. But when you watch the Ravens game, and you watch some of these other games, the corners are quick twitch athletes that can deal with whoever you got. DPJ, Elijah Moore, they're taking man-on-man coverage. And then when you look at some of the concepts they're trying to run, you're looking at high-low concepts where you're trying to influence a linebacker to either throw it, make a decision and throw the ball in front of them or behind them. Those things take time to develop. Like if you want to run a high-low concept and you got the ball going down 12, 13 yards down the field, you got to let it develop. And the problem is they don't have any gimme, simple, quick, cherry-picked stuff that every team runs.
Right.
And it's just too hard to run those plays if you're not creative
You said
enough.
on the catch 22 or on the all 22 that you noticed that all day long Njoku was running open.
Yeah, if you did some of that bread and butter stuff, he would chip, and they were actually even helping on Jed Wills. They kept David Njoku in, and he would chip and then release, and right then he's open. Like if you get it to him now in space, he got 5-6 yards, and that's the bread and butter. But when your progression is, if your coaches are telling you, we look to DPJ right here on the shallow cross. That's 1. The dig is 2 to Amari Cooper, and then 3 is the check down. He's not even looking at David.
He's not getting to it because, to your point, it's all happening too fast.
It's too fast for all that.
Yeah, it's like a blur going by him. All right, what's your next
I want to
one?
bring up one more thing. Steve, you pull the graph back up. On 11.6% of Browns dropbacks this year, it's resulted in a sack. That's 6th in the league. The Giants are at 17.2. This is a Patrick Mahomes stat I found, but I want to throw it in here just because it's going to blow your guys' mind. Deshaun Watson, for comparison, has been sacked on 25% of the dropbacks he's been pressured, which is right around league average. So 25% of the time there's pressure, he takes a sack.
Yeah.
When Patrick Mahomes gets pressured, he gets sacked 3.6% of the
Because
time.
he's so good at getting out of the
absurd.
pocket and
It has nothing to do with
turning it
this,
upfield.
but it was the most absurd stat I found out of all of these.
You know, that's interesting. That might be the answer to why he has sort of cracked the code as the NFL's best quarterback. Because, and I know Lamar can do that too, but I think Patrick has the better arm. But we saw it on the Sunday night game on the 3rd and 22, in which, by the way, the referees missed a clear holding on Kansas City.
That holding was
Oh,
crazy.
my God. He held that guy all the way down the field.
slow down,
They
man.
missed that. But on 3rd and 22, everybody's got their man. And we talked about this on why you don't necessarily want to play man with a running quarterback. All of the corners and safeties had their backs to him. By the time they knew he was running, he was at the first down line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think that stat right there drives home, maybe more than any other, why this guy is just so elite. He just doesn't take sacks.
On the flip side of elite, we got to talk about 71. This is tough. And there's 2 graphics. We'll do them both, and then you guys can react. We'll start with the PFF grades, which, once again, we have proven is not a perfect science, but it's really the only apples-to-apples comparison where you could rank up other guys you're not watching. So
There's no better way to unless you're watching every player on every play individually. There's nothing better, in my opinion. But go ahead.
So overall, he has a 45.4 grade this year. That ranks 95th out of 104 qualified tackles. His pass blocking grade, a 53.8. That's 74th out of 104. One of those pass blocking tackles did not actually block on a run play. His 44 run blocking grade is 101st out of 103. He's allowed 18 pressures through 4 games. That is 4.5 pressures per game. He's on pace to allow 77 pressures this season. Now, Bull's going to ask, well, what's the context? What's the most pressures that guys allow per season? Well, last year, Ed Ingram of the Vikings led the league with most pressures allowed, 63, 14 less than Wills is on pace for. In 2021, Alex Leatherwood, who's now on the Browns practice squad, led the league in pressures allowed with 67, 10 fewer than he's on pace for this season. In 2020, Jawan Taylor, the new right tackle for the Chiefs, led the league with 58 pressures allowed, and in 2019, Nate Solder of the Giants led the league with pressures allowed with 56. So even in the last 4 years, the most pressures allowed is 10 fewer than Jed Wills is on pace
it's
to allow.
He's on
possible
pace to
this
not just
season.
be the worst in the last 5 years. He's on pace to be the worst by a lot.
it might be the worst ever because we both thrown so much. Who knows? Mike, how does he compare to the rest of the Browns at this point? The rest of the Browns linemen. You
We'll
have
get to
that?
them. We're going player by player, so we'll get to that in 1 sec in terms of pressures allowed. I have that for all 5.
Could you
offensive
tell
linemen.
me just?
It is significantly more.
He's allowed 18 pressures.
Correct. The next highest is 8.
Hey, now,
So what about the other 4 guys combined? Is it more than 18?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
now,
Well, there's 4 other guys.
And real quick, before you go, I got 2 more things on Jed Wills. So he's allowed 36.7% of the pressures that the Browns as a team have allowed. That's the 3rd highest individual pressure rate compared to their team in the entire NFL.
You would expect that it would be 20% for all 5 guys.
Exactly.
And I mean, if all things were equal.
Right.
And so he's allowing the pressures of
Almost
almost
double.
2.
Yeah, right.
And then one last stat, and I'm not exactly sure the formula PFF uses for the pass block efficiency rating. Trent Williams and Penei Sewell of the Lions both have 100s. They lead the league through 4 weeks in pass block efficiency. Jed Wills is a 93.7, which ranks 82nd. So even a 6-point gap from 94 essentially to 100 drops you down 80
82nd
spots.
out of how many?
101.
I'm just guessing that the way they're getting to that number is how many pressures you allowed per dropbacks.
Right.
And the way you get to 100 is you have allowed 0 pressures on the year.
And remember, if you're 82nd, that means you're a lower tier 3rd tackle. That's what you should
yes,
be.
not a starting
A
left tackle.
lower tier.
Well, that's counting guard centers, everyone, right? That 101.
No, that's just tackles.
That's just
That's
tackles.
That's just oh my
Yeah.
god.
That
in
means
heaven.
and that's your left tackle.
That
Your
means
starting.
you're a subpar 3rd stringer.
Now,
or a
it's-
backup.
Now, here's what
And that's why when I said on Monday, this line's going to get someone hurt.
Hey, I'm going to say this, and Andrew Berry has to answer for this, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's not the fact that you draft him and you whiffed on that. It's the fact that you gave him a fifth
Well,
year.
it's what we said to Chris
What-
Rose yesterday. You're doubling down on a bad mistake.
Like, what are you watching that says this is okay?
He's getting worse, though. That's
regressing.
He wasn't this bad as a
No,
rookie.
to your point earlier this
Yes,
year,
like-
he was manageable.
Yes.
he is not manageable
I thought
right
his
now.
rookie season was the only year he was okay. I thought he was serviceable as a rookie, and he's gotten a little worse each year, and now he's
fallen
now
off
as
a
bad
cliff.
as anybody.
He's fallen off a cliff.
And,
Yes.
and then
Why aren't they seeing this?
Oh, they are.
And then
You can't proceed like this, Jay. You're going to hurt your $230 million
Yeah.
quarterback.
Yeah.
But
No,
he
that's fair.
compounded it by giving Jack Conklin a deal when they knew he was hurt, injury prone.
Yeah.
Knew it. So you now have an albatross at your tackle position, and you're trying to figure out how to keep your $230 million quarterback upright with a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Good luck with that turnstile.
In the whack-a-mole game, last year it was the defensive tackles. This year it's the offensive tackles.
Are we doing the trades conversation soon?
We probably will save that for Monday. I'm
Okay.
guessing time-wise it'll be a Monday conversation.
Because they need a left tackle, in my mind, more than they need a running back.
I agree.
Well, nothing drives that home more than these numbers.
Yeah.
I actually was going to answer that question, the trade.
Yeah.
I don't need a running back. What good is a running back if you don't have a line? It's not glamorous, it's not sexy, but they have got to do something at left tackle. And I know Chris Rose said yesterday, there's no left tackle store. I get that. Go get one.
Yeah, right.
Whoever you get is going to be better than this.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
So we
true.
still got the other three. We're going to skip Ethan Pocic, but we'll do Dsehaun Jones and the two guards. Dsehaun Jones, based off those similar numbers, 55.5 overall PFF grade, which ranks 55 out of 104. His pass blocking's been pretty impressive, 71.5. That's 38th out of 104. His run block grade, though, it literally does not get worse. He's the lowest rated run blocking tackle, according to PFF in all of football. He's allowed 8 pressures this season, on pace for 34, which is right around league average. That is almost
For a
directly
rookie,
for the
I mean,
last.
the run block numbers
You take
are a
that and run to
disaster.
the bank with the rookie. The 34 pressures.
Yeah, but I don't want to be dead last in anything.
No, the run block rate is horrible.
Gee, why would you suppose? He's got great footwork for a big guy, but why would you suppose that he's doing fairly well at pass block,
above average.
but is dead last in run block?
Well, listen, if you run an inside and outside zone and you don't reach somebody, you don't get to the next level, that's a minus. If you let guys make inside moves and penetrate, that's a minus. If you let guys penetrate, they don't get penetration. It's the lateral movement that get them. And sometimes when you don't know where you're going, if I say we're going to run inside zone and we're going to double team with Wyatt Teller from here to the Sam Backer, if you double team and get to the Sam Backer and he beats you somewhere, that's a minus.
Yeah.
So, especially Jason said it earlier, there's a lot of times when you are a tackle, tackles are supposed to be the guys that know what to do. Like guards are the ones that ain't supposed to know what to do. The guard, when I play guard, I'm tapping the center or I'm tapping the tackle. What am I doing on this play? I don't know where we going with this. They tell me. Our center was like a Rhodes Scholar.
And Jay said that's happening a lot.
Oh, God.
Dsehaun Jones.
In the run game, it's tough.
Yeah. Now, the last game, honestly, I didn't watch it as much in the Baltimore game. But the Tennessee game, Dsehaun seemed to know his assignments a little bit better. I think it was the Pittsburgh game where it was almost every play. Wyatt was in his ear telling him what to do and where to go.
Yeah, so
it was constant.
On the run, and plus, too, I've been noticing on the All-22, it's the Nick Chubb effect. These guys are getting to their initial blocks, but letting them go.
Yeah, not holding
They're not
the block.
sustaining blocks. By the way, there's holes. There's holes that guys can run through, and it's just one guy. It ain't like everybody getting blown up. It's one guy missed a guy, or
Well, it
one
only
guy
takes
let it.
one.
It only takes
Okay,
one.
so I'm curious. Now that you've seen these numbers, how do you feel about the game plan that they ran on Sunday when they didn't run the ball? Because I was with you saying they got to run the ball. You got to give your quarterback a chance.
Well, they're seeing the same thing.
But when you look at those numbers, you got no chance running the ball
and that's,
right
I guess,
now.
Jason, that's what they're seeing. They're saying not only is our run block worse than we thought, our best running back isn't here to hide all those warts.
That's right.
So we can't run the ball. It's just and by proxy, you're now one-dimensional, which is a big
Dangerous.
problem in the NFL. I have a question for you, G. From a mental standpoint, which is more difficult to grasp? Pass block concepts or run block?
Pass. Listen, if you got enough time and you rep it enough, they're going to give you a different shape or different front sometimes. But after a while, there's only so many fronts they can give you.
Right.
Run block, where you get tricked is when they start coming with these blitzes, you got to deal with the speed. You got to deal with whether or not another guy's coming. You got to pass them off, and you got to learn protections. Sometimes on protections, you know, you might be on an island and you don't know it. You may think you got help from Taylor, and all of a sudden somebody comes up and you don't got that help. So now your kick slide is not deep enough that you're supposed to get. So, you know, pass block, that's why it's encouraging for him, because I agree with that. I would
You
say
think
pass
Yeah, he's
block.
handling the harder
The hard part
mentally.
he's got down.
Yeah.
Considering he's a 4th-round rookie,
Yes.
his pass blocking has been pretty good.
I'll accept that.
He's been better than
He's
average.
blowing
for a
away the
rookie.
former first-round left tackle
Oh, yeah.
in his numbers.
The Wills thing is, I know we got 2 more to get to. The Wills thing is just baffling to me. I just don't, he's fallen off a cliff this year. I mean, when I was out here defending him, it was based on past years. There's nothing to defend this year.
No, and I
He's
don't know how
awful.
Let's see the guards, Mike.
Yeah, so we talked about the tackles, and
Why are we blowing off Pochich? Just because we don't have enough time?
we'll probably not have enough time.
All right, but-
Because Batonio, I know we're going to spend a little bit of
Yeah.
time on. He's next. So we're going to go overall, run block, pass block. I'm going to give you a little context to each of those. So overall, Batonio's been fine. He's not been the all-pro, all-world Batonio we'd be accustomed to, but he's been fine. His 65.2 overall grade ranks 25th. His pass blocking grade, a 74, 13th out of 97. A 51.1 run blocking grade. To give you a little context on those, it's the lowest overall grade of his career. It's the lowest run grade of his career, and it's the first time he's ever been in the 50s as a run blocker, according to PFF. And his pass blocking grades have been an 80-plus in each of the last 7 seasons.
How old
So
is
that's
he?
a
You
step
asked
down.
Batonio.
How old is he?
And real quick, in
32.
terms of the pass block, he's 32. He's allowed 8 pressures this season, same as Dsehaun Jones. That's on pace for 34, which is typically league average. Well, he's never allowed more than 22 in each of the last 7 seasons. So Batonio has even taken a bit of a step back
Jason.
early on this season as well.
Would Batonio acknowledge he's not been as good this year? Or do you think he looks at this and says, that's bogus?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I haven't asked him.
Yeah, you should.
But the thing that's concerning about this, I think we were starting to allude to it, he's 32 years old.
Yeah.
And they just redid his contract, which makes it harder to get out of it. So if this is the cliff that he's teetering toward, he's got a dead cap hit next year of $8 million. In 2025, it's $5 million. He's got $14 million in dead cap spread out over the next 3 years after this year.
Here's the only thing I'd say about that is you could live with a slightly less Batonio.
Yes.
He's still good.
Yeah.
He's just not playing. He's no, and
He
maybe
may
it's
not be
just
the
early
elite
season.
guard that he once was.
Right. You can't redo the entire offensive line,
No.
and they're going to need to fix left tackle.
If he was 29 and starting to decline, I think you'd be okay. You know, this is not. But he's 32.
So what, you
It's
think he's
gonna-
completely off the cliff
I
next
think-
year?
You know,
At that position, usually it's dramatic.
when it
Could
goes,
be.
it goes fast.
Yep.
You wake up one day and you just not strong and you don't got the base and the feet. And I see what they was doing. They was expecting Jed Wills to pick up where he left. Now he helped Jed. Now Jed Wills is a dominant force,
Yeah.
and now he's giving Batonio some help.
Yeah,
the
it hasn't
Browns
worked out
and
that
it
way.
has
The Browns
not
have
worked
been
out that
all
way.
in
You're right, though, G.
for a number of years. They've been all in on spending more than most teams on the offensive line.
Yes.
And right now, it's a disaster.
If Joel can hold on
Wait a
at
couple
this,
years.
if Joel can hold on at this level for 2 more years, they'll be okay.
Yeah,
they'll
yeah,
be
yeah.
okay. It's the concern of where's the cliff.
Yeah,
Right.
if the erosion continues, like if he can hold this,
Yeah.
But oftentimes we've seen at that position,
Right.
like you said, you wake up and all of a sudden it just is going downhill.
And the question is, it's only 4 games, so it's a small sample size right now. Does he get back to where he's been
Yeah.
the rest of the year, or does he keep going down?
I also think it's fair to say offensive line is about trust. That's why they are the tightest in the group, right? They hang out. You look at Batonio, I just don't think that he has faith in Jed Wills. I don't think he has faith when he has a twist or a text. He knows that, hey, I'm going to pass this off. You know, linemen and guards, they pass that off seamlessly.
Right.
So if he's blocking somebody and then he lets him go because he thinks that Jed has him and he don't do nothing, he turn around and look, he's going to start saying, nah, well, I ain't going to be looking crazy. I'm going to just block that guy.
And I wonder if you spoke to, if anybody spoke to Batonio, but if you spoke to him, because you're in the locker room, and you gave him truth serum, and you said, Joel, are you playing worse? And if he believes he's playing worse, does he think it's on him? Does he think part of the reason he's playing worse is because Jed Wills has been so bad.
Yeah.
You're on to something.
That's a fair point because the strength of this line is the interior, center and two guards.
Yep.
But now you've got Wills, who's a complete disaster on this side, so Joel's got to babysit him.
Yep.
And you've got Wyatt babysitting Dawand on this side, telling him where to go and what to do. So the guards are playing – now both guards are playing two spots.
Yeah.
And now
that makes perfect sense.
Right?
I mean,
it's got to be some
it's
part of the
obvious
factor.
that Wills has gone way down really quickly. And if he's got to spend more time cleaning up his messes, he's going to grade less than he has been. Because he's not worried about his guy. He's worried about the entire side of that line.
And now maybe Pochich doesn't play.
We got last one. We'll save the Poachers stuff. Maybe that'll be an overtime nugget I give out to our members of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. But we got Showtime.
No
Shawn
overtime
Porter coming
today.
up in a sec. I can still put it on the members of the community tab. There's ways to get information to our members because they deserve it. Wyatt Teller, very similarly graded to Bitonio. He's actually been a little better than Bitonio. If you look at the PFF grades and the numbers, his overall grades, 2 spots higher, slightly higher pass blocking grade, a 74.8, a 63.3 run block grade, which is 20 spots higher than Bitonio. He's only allowed 5 pressures. When you add the pressures combined on the left side of the line versus the right side, Jones and Teller combined have allowed 13 pressures. It's 26 between Wills and Bitonio. Most of the pressures coming from the left side, which is not ideal for a quarterback.
I gotta believe Wills is factoring into Bitonio.
I think you're right. And Teller isn't having to provide as much help to Jones.
Right, especially in the passing
as
game.
Bitonio is to Wills.
Right, especially because Jones has been really good in the passing game.
Right.
But what's really interesting about Wyatt Teller there, Mike, if you bring that back up, is that more than anybody else on this line, Wyatt Teller has, in his career here, has been a way better run blocker than pass blocker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way better. He's been like an elite run blocker and a solid pass blocker.
But this year it's different.
This year he's been, his run blocking, it's not bad. I mean, it's not terrible.
His pass block is almost top 10% of the league.
For context, it's his highest pass blocking grade of his career.
Yeah.
And his lowest run blocking grade since 2019.
Well, and where has Jones been strongest this year? In the pass block.
In the pass game.
So he's having to worry about helping him less, and it's allowing him to be better at his position. That's why I always say, when it comes to the offensive line, you're as good as your weakest link.
That's right.
And right now, that weak link is very weak, and it's pulling everyone else down.
Wills is killing them. Wills is killing them.
They've got to make
If you replace Jed Wills with an adequate, not great, adequate left tackle, they would be way better across the board.
And by the way,
I think he's adequate. I'm not 100% sure at this point.
And it's just not the tackles. It's the tight end too. You have to chip more, so he's out in less routes. People say, "Where's the Njoku at?" Well, he's helping block.
Yeah, that's where
true.
scheme comes in.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we're going to bring in Showtime Shawn Porter here 1 sec. Just a quick reminder that at 12:30 we are leaving YouTube, heading over to WKYC Channel 3 NBC for 30 minutes of brand new, never before seen Browns coverage. So make sure you guys tune in on your TVs, on the WKYC Plus app to us at 12:30. With that, let's bring in our world champion boxer, the one, the only, Showtime.
There he is.
Hey. Oh, I don't like that look.
The Browns got him looking crazy.
That's the last thing most of his opponents saw before they were looking at the light. What's up, Shawn?
I was going to say, I will say this. In my defense, I am going to get my hair done, but along the way.
I like it.
Especially listening to what you guys were just saying about our offensive line. It's like where we didn't know we had holes in the previous probably 2 to 3 years, if not even 4, we're starting to see these holes, and I can't help but wonder if that quarterback position is the reason why we're starting to see these holes. I mean, obviously we know that our running back has gone down, and now that's an even bigger hole. But now we're starting to really see where the kinks in the armor have lied, and I think that is because of our quarterback.
Really? Explain.
Well, I have been against that trade ever since the trade was made, and that was even before I was aware of the situations that Deshaun Watson was involved with. I'm a firm believer that you cannot take yourself out of an elite sport and come back into that elite sport and perform elite. And 2 years out of the game is just far too long. His eyes have not seen that speed. His reflexes have not seen that speed. His mind has not had to think that way in over 2 years. And so he's not going to be who he was in 2015, 2016,
Can he ever get it
2017
back?
when he first – I don't believe he can. And I'll tell you why. In boxing, we always talk about layoffs. And he says, is this layoff going to hurt a fighter? A layoff does not hurt a fighter when a fighter is training at the level they fight at.
Wow.
You have to get that blood to boil. You have to get that mind to work at that elite, fast level. And if you're not for a certain amount of time, then yes, a layoff and rest and all those kind of things will set in. And the same thing for Deshaun Watson. He's been out of the league for 2 years, hasn't played NFL snaps in over 2 years or whatever the case may be. And now he's expecting to come back and everything to fire the way that it's been fired. And while he was off, if he was practicing at this elite level and still getting out and making these passes and making his mind move and think the way they do, his eyes are not going to catch up to how fast they need to move now. His mind is not going to catch up to how fast he needs to move now. And we've even seen his legs aren't moving as fast as they used to move either.
Sean,
so if you don't believe me,
depressing.
even look at just the legs.
That's
It
even more
is, man.
depressing.
And I didn't want to come on here.
He came with that fire, though. Like,
What about Michael Vick? Michael Vick missed 2 years, then played his best year of his career.
Very true, but the difference between Mike Vick and Deshaun Watson, I mean, I think is even the talent, the level of talent and gift is different. You know what I mean? And so, like a lot, like you say, hey, there's only one Mike Vick. You know, and Mike Vick or Deshaun Watson can't come back and now operate the way that he was. At the end of the day, we'll take Roy Jones as an example, and I'll use Roy Jones because I'm a fighter. Roy had this unique talent and ability. His instincts and his speed were on an amazing level. But once he got hurt, everything started to deteriorate. No, Deshaun Watson has not gotten hurt, but he has not used his unique gifts and talents in so long that now they've started to deteriorate.
When you said that you think his legs are slower too, are you seeing just a physically slower Deshaun Watson? Like there's already been some physical erosion of his gifts. Forget the mental side, or is it the decision to run?
Yeah, I think it becomes a decision to run. I see a little hesitation once that decision is even made to run. There's hesitation after that, and those are the things that set in when you have not been able to move and operate. You become less instinctive and you become more cognizant of what needs to happen and what you need to do, and those milliseconds take away from your ability to get away. It takes away from your ability to get away and then make a play. You know. The way they performed against Tennessee, I didn't think I was going to have to come on there here and talk like this. But then, of course, he missed last week, and it was like, now you've missed a week, and it's like you're going to come back and be better than you were before you left? I don't think so.
Against San Francisco. No.
I think, sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have the experience as a great athlete that I don't. I just think we've seen guys, like he didn't miss 2 full years. It was more like a year and a half.
Well, no, calendar years,
Yeah.
It was just short of 2 calendar years.
Well, I mean,
because we saw him in November, and we had last seen him in almost 2 years prior.
Okay,
December.
but it was,
So it was 23 months.
All right, but you always have that off time. He missed 1 2/3 seasons, right? And we've seen guys miss a year. I mean, all the time and come back and play well. Is an extra half a season the difference between being able to come back? I can understand, like, we undervalued last year that he was going to be rusty and need time. But, and maybe you'll be right. You might be right, and maybe he's never going to be the same guy. I thought he showed signs of it against Tennessee. I think we'll see how it goes. But what's the difference between 1 year and a year and 2/3?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, he doesn't really strike me as someone. And again, and I'll be point blank. I'm just judging. And for the sake of words, I'm judging a book by its cover. But he doesn't strike me as someone who's going to work hard until it's time to work hard. There's athletes who will continue to train and work even though there's nothing on the calendar for them. And he doesn't strike me as that kind of person. I think when you talk about 1 and 2/3 of a year, whatever the case may be, what have you done in that time? Have you done things to improve your game? Have you done things to continue to condition your eyes and things like that? I think even if anything, and just to pull back on everything that I said, maybe he just has to get everything back conditioned. And maybe I'm all the way wrong.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, I want to see these Browns make it to the playoffs like we did.
Right.
What was that, 2 years ago? And I want to see us go further than we went that last 2 years ago. I mean, I thought that was amazing. I didn't expect it. And of course, we expect a quarterback who has been successful in the league. We expect to get back there with him, you know. And so it's like, for me, I'm looking at, okay, if we don't get back there, and I'm looking at this guy, what are the components to the reasons why? And I just think that you look at his lack of commitment to the game and his off time, and I think that is a big contributor as to why he's underperformed since he's been playing.
Sean, respectfully, I disagree. I don't know that, like, well, we don't know his workout habits off the field. I mean,
Sure.
I think, you know, again, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe he's not working hard enough. But I don't know that we have any reason to believe that necessarily, that he's not working hard enough in the offseason. If we did know that, I'd be like, yeah, well maybe that's
typically
why.
Isn't that shown in performance? Like if Shawn was training for a fight,
Yeah.
and you see it all the time, and I'm not saying that Shawn's done this, but a lot of times by the 4th or 5th round, everybody in the arena and everybody watching at home knows, because it shows, you know, well, this guy didn't put in the work.
Well,
and
I don't think it's fair to say that the guy's not working hard because he is struggling.
well, we don't know that, but what I'm saying
Well, but
is,
Shawn said that, so
doesn't it usually manifest itself in performance? Shawn,
Not
maybe
exactly.
it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you one thing. I mean, near the end of my career, I was notorious for, if I didn't have something on the calendar, if I didn't know what was going on, I either went into the gym and I half-assed it, or I didn't go into the gym at all. And my thing was, there's nothing on the table, you know. And let's be honest, he didn't know where he was going to go. He didn't want to play for the Texans. He had no motivation to continue doing what it takes to remain at the elite level. And again, and I'll take full responsibility for this conversation and say that, yes, I'm being judgmental, but I'm being judgmental based on experience, personal experience, as well as experience watching other athletes who come into the ring and or go into the field. And it's like you always say, game day will tell the truth. So if I'm all the way wrong, game day has certainly told us that there's a disconnect.
Sean, kind of a two-part question. Have you seen a fighter ever be in tip-top peak physical condition? Dang, McNuggets, you got rid of him?
No, I don't know. He probably
I'm here.
He's back. He probably got text.
Have you ever seen a boxer be in tip-top physical condition, is ready to go, but he got in the ring with somebody and got smoked because he had the wrong game plan?
Man, are you leading me to talk about Terrence Crawford and Errol Smith Jr.?
So hold on. So here's the thing.
So it can't happen.
No, hold on.
Outwork your opponent and lose.
So what I'm saying to you is, Deshaun Watson could be the most, he could do all the push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, running 40-yard dashes. But if they get out here and you out-schemed, you out-flanked, maybe you have other situations. We just talked about an offensive line that lead to more sacks. Sometimes you can go in the game and just don't have the numbers.
Disclaimer, I don't want to be right. I want him to start to perform. I want him to start to get that blood to boil and get back to that elite play that he has had through the course of his career. And all that being said, man, I am, man. I'm a diehard Browns fan. And
so you said I was right. You said I was right there.
No, never said that. I'm taking responsibility for what I said, and I'm telling you guys that I hope I'm wrong about what I said, okay?
Listen, I understand it. There are times where guys lose or don't perform well, even though they put in all the work.
That's right.
I think what he's saying is, when we've seen that an elite quarterback, which is what he was, we've usually seen if he continues to put in that work, he remains elite.
But the last time we saw him on the field, he played great. So I think right now, to me, it's bad timing for the.
Yeah, but there were 8 other games, or how many other games?
I hear you.
There were 6
I
last
think we
year.
should go from. I think we should go from great to pretty good. He played pretty good against Tennessee.
I agree with that.
Yeah, great is.
All right, that's fair.
The top level.
Yeah.
Shawn, we appreciate your insight, brother. You know what we love the most about you? You come out as if it was the opening bell and you've only got 10 seconds to go for the knockout. That's what I love.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. We love it. We
Sean.
love it. You brought the smoke, brother.
I love you guys, and I love this show, man. Have me on
Thanks.
anytime you guys want. I'll see you guys later, all right?
Hey, it's mutual. You know that, Sean.
we gonna get some views off that one.
Yeah, that was
Porter
hot.
said Deshaun Watson trash.
Just tag me. That's all. Just tag.
I'm just playing with you. I do the same thing to Jason Lloyd. You know what Jason Lloyd told me? Everything. No.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not worried about him coming after me. So
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be. Keep those hands in shape, brother.
Guys,
We'll
take
talk
care.
soon, all right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, he brought it, man.
Man, listen.
I just
brought
think-
it.
I don't think that's fair to say he's not.
Well, I mean, it's his opinion.
Yeah.
You can certainly disagree, which you
Yeah.
respectfully did.
Yeah.
And I thought it was an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Look, we had talked in the offseason about is he putting in the work, because we were seeing things on Instagram, and then all of a sudden you started seeing all these workout videos were coming up from everywhere. I don't know when they were shot, when they were produced, but I always said, don't tell me about the labor, show me the baby.
Yeah. That's fair.
And the performance, he said it, the tape and our eyes don't lie. We know what they've
and
been
I think
putting
we
in.
got to see, like, if he has a bad season, I think that's a more fair conversation
I do too.
to have.
We'll revisit it in December for sure.
Yeah.
Because look, when we last saw him, he looked a lot closer
Yeah.
to the Deshaun Watson
Right.
we saw in Houston than we had ever seen before.
It wasn't. Was it an all-time game that he played? No, but it was a really good game.
But he's right. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Okay, Mike.
We got some super chats, and we're going to get as many keep cut trades in as possible. We actually have a keep cut trade suggestion from a super chat, so we're going to end with that one. First one comes from Simple, as stupid as it sounds, with the alleged burner account that was supposedly Watson's. Could he have done that as a, yeah, look, you need me type kind of thing? Yes or no? Real quick. We got a bunch of these. So
Well, I think that alleged burner account is not there anymore.
You mean could he have done the burner account, or did he not play to say how much you need?
No, I think the super chat was asking if he made the burner account to be like, yeah, you need me, or maybe I don't know exactly.
I
what
have
he's
no
asking.
idea.
Or did he specifically sit out a game to say how you like me now?
Maybe that's what he was asking.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
That's a bad way to prove a point.
I don't-
You
I
know how you
disagree
prove a
with that.
point? You go out and kick Baltimore's ass.
I don't believe that.
I don't
No.
put any.
I
stock
do
in
not
that.
believe he would do that at all. Not for one second.
Rakasan 1187 says you guys spent a whole year complaining about the media about coaches not saying anything, and now you guys are mad that he said something. Make up
not
your minds.
No,
We're not mad. I'm not mad.
Yeah, and my thing
We were
is,
just curious why he did it.
my thing is, it was so against his MO that it raised eyebrows.
Yeah. I agree.
Vernell Jackson said Stefanski wanted to deflect from his subpar coaching job. He's a sub 500 coach, minus the COVID year. He's trash.
We've heard that a lot, and I don't believe that that's what. I don't think he was trying to take any criticism off him.
No.
And put it on Deshaun. No. Because he's too smart for that.
Yeah.
Pee Wee's Burner says media is always just trying to stir the pot. Y'all stupid. Thanks, Pee Wee.
No, the people are stupid.
Wait, find out from Pee Wee what time his show is on, where we can watch it, and how it's doing.
Hey, and listen.
I got a cauldron of doom over here.
When they say stir the pot, like we don't have. Look, these people give us the stuff. All we do is talk about it, bro.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Yeah, we're not writing the storylines.
The Browns
we're
cut the
reporting them.
carrots,
they
chop
put
the celery,
fine
light the
produce.
fire.
We don't have to.
And the Browns give us plenty
Hey,
to
listen,
talk about.
guys, I think you're out of line. The Browns are a perfectly run organization. They never make any mistakes, and we're just making stuff up.
Next week on Sunshine and Roses.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a segment, Sunshine and Roses.
You know what it is?
Actually,
I got to tell you, more than any fan base that I've been around, I can't say any, but any fan base that I have covered on a regular basis or in the areas that I've lived, this fan base is more defensive of its crappy product than I've ever seen a fan base
Browns
be.
specifically, not the Cavs and the Guardians.
Like, go to Chicago and hear what they're saying about the Bears.
Yeah.
You don't have people in Chicago saying, oh, the Bears ownership is the best ownership in town.
What are you
Real
saying
quick.
about the Giants right now in New York?
Mike wants to
It's
go.
not nice.
Jay, I tweeted that a couple years ago. When the Guardians suck, it's the Guardians' fault. When the Cavs suck, it's the Cavs' fault. When the Browns suck, it's the media's fault.
That
Right,
is,
that's
my
right.
God, that's a
100%
T-shirt.
It's unbelievable.
Because
100%
you're
true.
absolutely,
Yeah.
they are
And
so
you know what? People got
protective.
so mad at me for saying
But it's true.
It's true.
They're
It's
so
100%
protective of their
true.
Browns. Half of our viewers in a poll said that the Haslims are the best owners in town.
That's right.
mind blowing.
Mike,
go ahead, Mike.
we got to get these
Another
last
t-shirt
ones in here.
opportunity.
Kenny Moss says, Any chance in Watson was coming off a great game and was worried he'd struggle against the
No,
Ravens?
that's
and
stupid.
Jackson Lloyd
Next.
not to play?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
stupid. Next.
Okay, Roberto El Presidente says someone said G. Bush dressed like he's in the Football Hall of Fame. That is a gold
Yes.
jacket.
You know, if for a Browns player to go in the Hall of Fame, he's got the gold jacket and the brown mock on. Like,
looks good.
when-
Daryl Perryman says Stefanski can scheme people open, but that's irrelevant because he's a bad situational play caller and
Yeah, that
abandons
person
the run
doesn't know what he's talking about.
way
Next.
too early. We love Daryl.
Love you, Daryl.
Daryl chimed in
Daryl's-
again.
Daryl's a good fan.
Blame
Boston
Andrew Berry for Jed Wills. He drafted a right tackle in hopes of making him a standout left tackle. That's not an easy swap.
That was
Professor
a
Chaos
mistake. I
said,
agree.
Then
should
move
the
him to right
Browns look
tackle and go get
into
a left tackle.
signing Lyle Collins? I know we touched on that real
I would.
quickly.
Yeah.
Two more. Fields came out throwing dimes last night. Go Bucks. Justin Fields did look good. He leads the NFL in
Mike.
touchdown passes.
He's
now.
still not that good.
And
Go
DJ
ahead.
Moore, all of a sudden, he and DJ Moore are like the best combo
And by
in
the way,
football.
the referees made a bad
saw
call.
that.
They did make a bad call.
And G and Earl claimed it only happened to the
by
Browns and it happened to the
By the
Bears.
way, on fantasy football, I think Holly has like
50 points from DJ Moore.
He's killing it.
I woke up. What the heck is
Oh,
this?
is that who you play? Oh, so you're no longer undefeated.
No.
You're going down this week.
Wow, you don't know that. Long way
Hey,
to go.
you
Next,
get 50
Mike.
points
And
from
Vines,
DJ
last
Moore,
one says
you're
there's
losing.
something to be said for instinct versus reacting as it relates to Deshaun. It felt like he was reacting in early games compared to the Titans game. And let's play a little keep cut trade. First one comes from a super chat. This is from Michael Ribovich. Keep cut trade. The tainted water in the studio. Any internet guest or any guest we have with internet issues, or not that, Steve. I'm reading one from the super chat. Come on, does that look like tainted water or a guest with internet issues?
He's channeling his inner Shawn Porter right now.
Yeah, like yo.
So I'm gonna try that
Third one.
again, Steve. There's not a
What's
graphic
the
for this.
third
It's a
one, Mike?
super
You're running
chat.
out of time here. Let's go.
Tainted studio water. Any guest with internet issues or Jed Wills? Keep cut trade.
I'm keeping guests with keeping guests with bad internet.
Nah.
I'm trading the tainted water. I'll lie about it being tainted, and I'm cutting Jed Wills.
I'll keep the water because I haven't grown a third hand or anything off it. It tastes terrible. You can still drink it. Cut Jed, trade the internet issue.
Like the internet issues, I gotta.
You got to trade Jed. You can get a 7th for a 6th swap for him.
I mean, can you?
You can't get anything for internet issues.
If you can get a 7-6 swap for Claypool, you should be able to get it. For
Yeah,
Jed, right?
exactly. Trade Jed.
I don't know.
I hate.
cut the internet
I mean, nothing's worse than buffering. Nothing.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Ever. Like you just. But I'll keep the water. Jay got to go.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean,
Okay.
I'll second that. But I will say I've never drank the water because
Don't drink the water.
I've smelled it,
That's mad.
and I've heard you guys complain about it since day one. So I just bring my own Gatorade.
Although it's
Next.
back to okay now. This one seems okay. I
It's
think.
case.
All right, we got
it's
a
tap
couple
water,
of these.
man.
It's a case to case.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike. Come on.
And we're gonna fly through these. Anthony made them, and these are not easy to make, so we're gonna make sure we get these in. You
Yeah,
have one
bad.
game to win. One game to win to make the playoffs. You need to win this game to make the playoffs. Keep cup trade. Tomlin, Vrabel, or Harbaugh? This is correct, Steve. Yes.
That's easy. I'm keeping
One game to make the
Harbaugh. I'm trading Tomlin. I'm cutting Vrabel.
I agree.
That's easy.
playoffs. One game
I
to
disagree.
make the playoffs.
Yeah, give me Tomlin.
Tomlin.
Because Tomlin makes the playoffs.
Every
he just
year.
doesn't win once he gets
Yes.
there. So
Yeah.
he knows how to make the playoffs.
Yeah, give me Tomlin, trade Harbaugh, cut
I'm gonna
Vrabel.
Same.
keep Harbaugh.
Harbaugh doesn't make the playoffs very often.
No, but Tomlin.
I can only keep one. I'm keeping Tomlin.
I would say that Tomlin's
Harbaugh has more
playoff
trade value than
percentage is
Vrabel.
making the playoffs is better than the Ravens. I'm just guessing.
So would you take?
I don't know.
Would you take Tomlin over Harbaugh?
Yes. It just did.
for
No,
one
for-
game?
no, for your
but
coach.
for not
coach?
for my
No,
coach.
Harbaugh.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Okay.
But that wasn't the question. That question was you got to win one game to make
Okay.
the playoffs.
Yeah.
If it was you get one for the season,
Yeah,
Give me Harbaugh.
Give me Harbaugh all day.
Yeah, come on.
All right. Next up, you're down 4. There's 70 seconds to play. You have one timeout. Keep cut trade. Mahomes, Brady, Elway.
Oh wow!
Oh my Lord.
Well, give me the GOAT to keep. I'm going to trade Mahomes because
You
he
get a
has
boatload.
value, and I'm cutting Elway because of what he's done to Cleveland in the past.
I'm keeping Mahomes. I'm trading Brady. I'm cutting Elway.
I'm with Bull. I keep Mahomes. He's playing in this.
Wow!
Even
see,
in the
we've
even in the
forgotten
last.
how great Tom.
No,
Brady
we
is.
haven't.
Yeah, we
but
have.
the game's changed even in the last 4
Is he
or 5
going to win
years.
7?
Mahomes?
Yeah.
He might.
Let me answer that for you. No.
Even if he doesn't, I still think he's going to be the
gotta
best quarterback ever.
I didn't see Tom Brady do it on.
Why, you think he has to win 7 to be the best quarterback ever?
Didn't say that.
Okay.
I asked a question.
Physically, I think he's the best quarterback ever.
Ever.
Yes, agreed.
Second is Aaron Rodgers to me.
physically.
Physically.
I have to think about that.
It's interesting because the two quarterbacks that you mentioned aren't running threats.
No.
And today's quarterback, it's the guys that can run it and throw it that are the biggest threats.
They otherworldly. They throw dots, man.
They do throw
Next
dots.
fight.
All right, next up.
to that.
This is based on this season. Keep cut trade. T.J. Watt, Micah Parsons, Max Crosby.
Based on this season?
This season.
I'm keeping Micah Parsons. I'm trading Max Crosby. I'm cutting Watt. He's been the worst of the three this year.
I'd agree on keeping on your keep. I'd flip the others.
I'm
I'll
with
trade
you.
Watt.
Yep.
I'm with
Max
you.
Crosby, nobody pays attention to him because he's on a bad team. He's been he's been the best defensive
Yeah, but
player
you're
in the
still
league
going to
this year.
get more for Watt than you are
Yeah,
Crosby.
you are.
in
On a trade. That's why I would do it that
Not
way.
from smart football people.
Oh,
think Crosby's better.
I would listen. I would if you said T.J. Watt or Crosby today. Give me T.J. Watt.
Yeah.
be wrong.
Which is
name
why I
that.
would use him as trade bait.
Yeah,
but
give me that.
it's interesting that we all across the board agree that Micah Parsons is him now.
No doubt.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, next up. Based on this season, how about, this is one I never thought I'd ask, Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and CeeDee Lamb.
Don't we have like 25 seconds to wrap up the show?
We got till 27 today.
I'm
I had
keeping
26 on my sheet.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm trading Lamb. I'm cutting Nakua.
I'm not paying any attention to fantasy this year. I'll go with whatever Bull says.
I actually have all three of these players on my team.
That's pretty good. Although St. Brown's a little banged up right now.
Yeah, he's a little. Give me St. Brown. You know what I'm saying? I would have to cut Puka Nacua. I don't know how he gets open or why the Rams, what are they running, but I suggest the Browns cut their copy
It's going
and
to be
paste their routes.
fascinating. They get Cooper Kupp back, I think, this week.
And that's what I keep waiting to see.
Yeah.
What happens to Nakua when Cooper Kupp comes back?
Yeah, that's going to be fascinating.
No,
Hey, you
just-
got 40 seconds for the last one. I definitely
Yeah,
want to
go.
get this in. 40 seconds. C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Baker Mayfield this season. Keep cut trade.
I'm keeping
30 seconds.
I'm keeping Stroud, trading Lawrence, cutting Baker.
Keeping Lawrence trade style, cut Baker.
Wait, this is this season only, guys.
This season only.
Yeah.
Give me. I'm keeping Stroud. I'm trading Baker and cutting Lawrence.
I'm keeping Lawrence. I'm trading Baker, and I'm sorry, Burrow. This season?
No, Stroud.
Oh, Stroud.
I
I thought.
kept Stroud.
Okay, my bad.
C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, we'll see you on Channel 3.
Punt.